Two ex-champions, Fernando Vargas and Shane Mosley, with hopefully still an awful lot left in the tank. Let's see what Shane Mosley has to say as he's with our Max Kellerman.
Thanks, JB. Shane, Fernando, it's assumed, and he said, is going to jump right on you. How are you going to deal with that?
Well, I'm going to use my speed like I've always been saying, and, we're going to, have to take him to school.
In recent fights, you've been more flat-footed. Have you prepared to be less flat-footed for Fernando?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to be a little bit less flat-footed for Fernando because he seems to be a bigger guy right now. We're going to go out there and do some good boxing.
The attitude in his locker room is like he's preparing for war. The attitude in yours is much more laid back. Can you comment on that?
Well, I am preparing for war, and the preparation of war has already been laid down. Now it's just time to do the act. So, I'm ready to go, and I'm sure Fernando is.
He seems to be fired up about your prediction of a knockout and then the ensuing bet. How do you feel about that?
I feel comfortable about what I said, and I know he feels comfortable about what he said. So it's the only thing left now is to get it on.
The fact that he seems to need that kind of animosity towards you to motivate himself, do you see that as insecurity on his part? Is there anything that you can use from that?
Well, I really don't know what to use from it. I just know what I came to do. I came to win the fight, and I came for victory.
This is, you've said, your last fight at 154 pounds. There's a size difference. Today he weighed in at 166 pounds. How do you deal with the size difference?
Well, I'm going to have to find a way when I get in there to deal with it. I'm very fast, and I do have a little pop to my shot, so he has to be careful. He can't just run in and throw caution to the wind.
It was not that long ago that you were considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Yet the only superstar you have on your resume, and it's a pretty good one, Oscar De La Hoya twice. This would be the second time you've put a star on your resume, that kind of a pelt on your wall. Are you concerned about your legacy at all in this fight?
Yes, I am. I'm definitely concerned about my legacy, and I know that this is going to be a good, tough fight, and I'm prepared for it. I'm ready to go.
Is there any concern at all that if you look spectacular in this fight, it will in a way actually hurt you going forward in terms of securing fights at welterweight?
No, I think there's a lot of great welterweights down there, and I'm just looking to do what I came to do. That's to win the fight, look spectacular, just to win the fight.
The bet have you looking for knockout at all?
If it comes, I'll take a bet. $100,000 is a lot of money. But if it comes, I'll take it. If not, then the victory is good.
Thank you, Shane. JB?
All right, Max and Emmanuel, let me ask you again. Shane certainly has not had the kind of power, certainly knockout power at this weight. This $100,000 bet, is that more hype than substance?
I don't know. I think it's a little substance, but very little. It's interesting because since Shane Mosley left the 135-pound division, he's never knocked out anybody, to my knowledge. And then also I thought later on about Fernando fighting the quality 154-pounders. I don't think he's ever knocked out any elite quality guys neither. So it's going to be interesting when they're predicting this knockout. And it really may come down to something that Larry Merchant said earlier. Who can take the best punch? Because I think a lot of punches are going to be thrown. I just can't see Shane moving and trying to outbox Fernando because he's really not a boxer. He moves around like it, but 90% of his style of fighting is just explosive outbursts of combinations. And I know that Vargas is not going to come in and have that type of a weight advantage and try to just box either. So he's going to be very aggressive, and Shane is going to have to stand and fight him. So I see a lot of punches being thrown, and whoever can take the best punch may be the guy who wins this fight.
And certainly we'll get you to put a period on that one in just a second. I was struck also in this conversation with Shane Mosley. Again, he talks about the $100,000 side bet. We know that he's fighting for the money at this one. Larry, is that incentive enough?
Well, it's called professional prize fighting. That means you make your living at it. And if you get a chance to make maybe $4 million, which he's going to do tonight, you take the chance because you can only make a third or a quarter of that right now anywhere else in the choices out there for you. But he recognizes that he's a better welterweight, and he's a kid with tremendous pride who really wants to lay down a legacy, lay down a record that we all we all will look back upon someday. That, to him, I think, as an athlete, as a pure athlete, is all the motivation he needs.
And you know what, Larry? I love the brutal honesty of boxing, because you hear so many athletes say, well, it's not really about the money, but you know what? $4 million is incentive enough for sure.
When they say it's not about the money, it's about the money.
It's about the money. Well, for years, Fernando Vargas and Shane Mosley have been thrilling fans with memorable performances in some of the sport's biggest matchups. But it's been too long since either of them has had the type of performance that once placed them among the sport's elite. Vargas has struggled mightily to regain the form he showed before knockout losses to Felix Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya, while Mosley continues to search for answers in the aftermath of back-to-back losses to both Vernon Forrest at 147 and Winky Wright at 154. Tonight, these two stars go head-to-head, each looking to prove they still have what it takes.
Fernando Vargas, Shane Mosley have everything in common, but neither is willing to admit the obvious comparisons. California natives both displayed the undefinable it. As young professionals, they took care of business. Vargas walked and talked it.
Maybe watching the making of a young American superstar.
Mosley handled it. It was ferocious.
17 knockouts in a row of ferocious Fernando Vargas.
And it was sweet.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
But without notice, their worlds changed. It was gone.
And Mosley is in huge trouble.
Seized by men who wanted and defended by those who had more. Vargas absorbed it. Mosley had it taken. Tonight, Fernando Vargas and Shane Mosley square off, each fighting to reclaim it.
It's finally time for our main event. Ferocious Fernando Vargas against Sugar Shane Mosley. Fight fans settle in for a showdown loaded with intrigue as two of boxing's enduring stars match up with everything on the line. Vargas versus Mosley is being brought to you by Mandalay Bay, boxing at its best. Rockstar Energy Drink, party like a rock star. And by HBO Pay-Per-View, the best in pay-per-view entertainment, brought to you by HBO. Well, it seems hard to believe at only 28 years of age, questions have surfaced as to what Fernando Vargas still has left. Knockout losses to Felix Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya have taken their toll on Vargas, and he's desperately in need of a big performance here tonight against Shane Mosley. Mosley, on the other hand, has had his own struggles in recent years with back-to-back losses to both Vernon Forrest and Winky Wright. Can he recapture his former glory against fellow Southern Californian Fernando Vargas? We'll find out just a few moments from now. And good evening once again, everyone. I'm James Brown as we get set for our main event between Fernando Vargas and Sugar Shane Mosley. I'm stepping in tonight for our Hall of Fame announcer, Jim Lampley, who is on his way back to the States, having worked the past couple of weeks at the Winter Olympics. I'm joined once again by Hall of Fame manager and trainer Emanuel Stewart. Now, you talked already about, in the end, it may very well be a decision based on who has the stronger chin. Any other factors to keep in mind tonight?
Well, it's one of the things I think that has been the most dominant fact on most of the fans' mind why Shane Mosley is the favorite in this fight, even though he's physically a smaller man and has not had too much impressive victories the last few, is the fact of most people think that the tremendous punishment that Fernando Vargas suffered in the loss to Trinidad and to Oscar De La Hoya was I mean, one of the most brutal situations that I've ever experienced in boxing, as compared to Shane, who was only hurt once for the most part in his professional career, and that was with the first fight with Vernon Forrest. So most people feel that whoever has suffered the most damage is going to be the one that's going to be the underdog, and I think that is why most of the people are picking Shane, because other than that, it would be very close.
Well, let's be honest, as we turn to our expert commentator, Larry Merchant, most people think, and maybe rightfully so, I'll let you elaborate on that these guys have slipped a little bit in terms of their skill set, that Shane not quite as quick as before, Mosley not as ferocious as before. Your take on the matter?
Well, I certainly think that they're not what they used to be, but listen, we watch ESPN Classic, we see the old fights. Virtually every Sugar Ray Robinson fight we see was after he had started to slip, and his fights were closer and more dramatic. Everybody recalls Ali and Fraser Street. So, you know, to me, at the end of the night, it's a fight, whether it's dressed up with titles and all that other gaudy stuff. It's a fight. And the point is, are we going to be entertained? Are we going to be moved? I think there's a good chance we will.
Well, let me get back to this point then. Two celebrated ex-champions. An awful lot of sizzle associated with these guys because they are big-name draws, to say the least. But any stake here at all?
JB, in boxing, the sizzle, which is the circus and the hype, very often is the stake. What we want to know is how much of these fighters have left, and if they both fight well, we'll want to see them both again, and if they both fight poorly, we won't want to see either of them the game. Again, the stake is the fight. Maybe it'll be well done.
All right, as we get set for our main event, let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Difference in age, the younger Vargas. Again, he's fought the best of his era, as has Shane Mosley.
There's nothing here we don't expect. Mosley wisely elected not to go all the way up to the 154-pound limit. Many fighters do as soon as they move up into a higher weight class. Speed is what he brings to this, and he doesn't want to diminish it too much. Vargas is the bigger, stronger guy, and the question is, can he impose his size? I don't think the age means a whole lot. Some fighters are old in their 20s, and some fighters are young in their 30s.
For this main event, rules of the bout according to our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Fernando Vargas-Shane Mosley fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. James.
All right, Harold, as we take a look at Sugar Shane Mosley getting set to enter. Again, Emmanuel, you talked about in his last 7 or 8 fights, not a sterling record at all. And I want you to elaborate. You said he's not necessarily a boxer, but how is it that he's been so successful?
Well, he's successful because, first of all, it's just speed. He's a very competitive fighter, tremendous hand speed. As a matter of fact, the second fight with Winky Wright, which he lost, I thought was one of his most impressive performances in recent years. Winky won the fight, but Shane fought a very good, determined fight. And when we consider the fact that he's been fighting top elite guys, not dodging anyone, and it's becoming very obvious now that he's really been giving up about 10, 15, 20 pounds of natural weight to these fighters.
The way that Mosley puts it, when he was young, he was so fast he could see around the corner. But he believes he can still be 90% of his best, and against a bigger and slower fighter like Vargas, he will still look fast.
And again, let's keep in mind, if there is an excellent performance on the part of both, there still is potentially a good future ahead for both fighters.
But, you know, what is interesting in this triology, or whatever you call them, all of these junior middleweights, welterweights, this is one of the few combinations who have not fought. And all of this is a product, mainly, of that Southern California area amateur program where some of the kids fought so much on Saturdays they could go to 2 or 3 different fights. Oscar De La Hoya as a little kid, Shane, Fernando, all of these guys started boxing when they was like 5, 6, 10 years old, and now here they are in their 30s, so to say, still fighting. And this is one of the few combinations that have not fought each other yet.
And here is the other Southern California, Fernando Vargas out of Oxnard, California. And I guess it's interesting to note, Larry, that he's at peace with himself outside of the ring.
He's taken off a lot of weight. His body looks different than the past. But perhaps the most weight he has shed is the burden of a dysfunctional family. He was separated from his mom for 7 years since she split from his stepfather who raised him. And now, in something out of a telenova, his mother is back with what Vargas calls his biological father, who had been in prison for most of the last 27 years, according to Vargas. And here they are, back together as a family, and maybe that getting rid of that burden will free his spirit up a little bit.
You know, it may happen with his ankle. Don't forget he has to have his ankle. So, but I think he is still, beyond a doubt, the emotional favorite. There's so much drama in his life, whereas Shane is just plain a nice kid, good little fighter. But with Vargas, the emotional energy of all of the people in this crowd is all with him because of the dramatic life that he has lived.
So the stage is set. Let's get set now for the official introductions by our ring announcer, Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay Resort Casino of Las Vegas, Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions and Main Events are proud to present the featured bout of the evening, 12 rounds of boxing in the junior middleweight division. Sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink, party like a rock star, and presented in association with HBO Pay-Per-View. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Skip Avancino Jr., Executive Director Mark Ratner. The 3 judges at ringside scoring this contest on the 10-point system are Chuck Jampa, Patricia Morse-Jarman, and Paul Smith. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Joe Cortez. And now, with dedication to all the men and women now serving in harm's way with the armed forces, from the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing brown, official weight 153.5 pounds. Professional record, 26 victories, including 22 knockouts, with only 2 defeats. From La Colonia Boxing of Oxnard, California, the former 2-time junior middleweight champion of the world, El Feroz, the Aztec warrior, ferocious, Fernando Vargas. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue trimmed with silver, official weight 152 pounds. His professional record, 41 victories, including 35 knockouts, with 4 defeats. From Pomona, California, the former lightweight world champion, former welterweight world champion, and former junior middleweight champion of the world, Sugar Shane Mosley.
All right, gentlemen, we're one of the rules of the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Give me good sportsmanlike conduct. Punches here are good, both sides. Remember, guys, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch him out.
Vargas says he wants to use his strength to crowd Mosley. Oscar De La Hoya told me he had told Mosley that you've got to stand and go with Vargas to drive him off. Sounds like a formula for combustion.
And Vargas said he would crowd Mosley early, imposing his will on Shane. Let's see if that materializes. Action right off the bat.
Well, you know, Shane is using more of a probe like with his left hand, a filler just to keep him at a distance. Not a real hard jab. But Fernando is just trying to bore himself in, and I think the fight's going to get very explosive very early. But Shane is not the type of guy that's going to let anyone just run him down. He moved a lot in the second fight with Vernon Force, but I don't think that's going to be the case today.
Vargas indicated this would not be the defensively oriented fight you've seen the last couple of fights. Mosley very confident in his conditioning, saying he's prepared for whatever may come his way.
What the hell does he say?
Missed by Vargas, ducked by Mosley. First right connected on the side of the head of Vargas.
This is the kind of controlled aggression that Vargas showed through his best fights.
Yeah, he's fighting because he never was really a reckless type of a guy. He always fought with very tight defense.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think the style of his fight now is going back to what he used to be, but it seems to be just a little split-second slower than he was a few years ago. That's the only difference.
He is getting beaten to the punch by Mosley.
And there were those who were wondering whether or not the defensively oriented style of Vargas was because of the back problems that he was having. And Larry indicated that he would be taking an anti-inflammatory Vargas before the fight.
Yeah, he said in his last two fights that because of his back problems and his conditioning problems, he had to fight at a slower pace. But he's not giving himself any excuses tonight.
It's a lot of health issues that Vargas has brought into the fight that has been a big question marks in my mind. The back, the excessive weight gain, up and down fluctuation, plus the physical damage that he's taken in those two fights, particularly with Trinidad and De La Hoya.
Having fought the best of his year at only age 28. That's the end of round one. Aggressive round for Shane Mosley, indeed.
That's all he got. Go back to the bottom, trying to give you. Give him a combination. Go and take a combination from him. Okay?
Kick his jab. Keep his hands up. All right. Keep going for the body shot. Pick his jab, right? Yeah, pick his jab. You're gonna get. I want that 1-2 down the center. Tick, tick, tick. Feint. Tick, tick, tick. Step through the middle. Throw that right hand. All right. And make sure you weave right, because he's gonna be throwing that hook. All right.
Take us out. Let's go, guys. Take us out.
Well, if folks were concerned that they would see the one-punch Shane Mosley that they've seen as of late, that certainly was not the case in round one.
But Shane is fighting a very tentative type fight, very cautious. He has a lot of respect for Fernando's punch and power strength. I can still see that.
Good exchange. Body shots by Mosley. Left inside by Vargas.
Mosley hoping those body shots will wear Vargas down. Vargas having some problems with stamina in his big fights.
Vargas walking down Mosley. It was a distinctly Vargas crowd during the pre-fight introductions, but the Mosley followers letting themselves be heard.
I think you're going to hear the crowd continue to change up back and forth in this entire fight. You know, this is still in the section of the country where both of these guys come from, right here in this western section right here.
But also a lot of Mosley bettors.
That's right. The emotional darling of the crowd is Fernando, but the money guy is Shane.
Let's put it in frankly.
Rooting for your money.
The two lefts caught on the gloves of Vargas.
Shane punches fast, but I don't think his heads are tight at the end of his punches. That's why I've always saw him as a fast puncher, but he doesn't punch with his hands closed as tight as he should be.
More of a slap.
Yeah, more of the punches at speed, but not as much. But if he slapped good enough that he doesn't see the slap coming,
good punch
he can hurt him.
Inside by Mosley. Mosley keeps hitting him with these punches inside. He just might bust up Vargas.
Yeah, and what he's doing is using that little left hand as just a little probe to keep in his face, to keep him preoccupied. And therefore, a punch, even if it's not a hard punch, can hurt him because Vargas may not even see the punch.
Well, Larry's talking about busting up Vargas. There's quite a bit of swelling over the left eye of Fernando Vargas, and Mosley is going after that eye. Well, two rights connected.
Fernando has a history of swelling up and being hurt a lot, whereas Shane Mosley has never had too much of a history of actually being busted up around his face in fights.
But one thing we can already see is that Shane Mosley doesn't punch like Tito Trinidad.
No,
because he's hit him with some hard, clean shots, and Vargas seen affected as yet.
Well, the swelling over the left eye of Vargas is a target that Shane is going after aggressively.
Use your jab when you get close to him, the little short one that we had in the gym. All right? He's trying to hit you with that right hook. I need that same hand counter. You understand? And don't reach for him. Just keep walking at him. All right? Keep walking at him. Keep walking at him. Keep your hands up good. All right? And keep your hand off the center. All right? Move and hit. Touch your temples on both sides. Keep touching them right around here. All right?
Bing, bing. 1, 2, hook. Bing, bing, bing. Roll him. Get on out there, all right? Keep boxing. Use that jab. That's nice. That's good boxing. That's real good boxing. You try to walk it down. Don't worry about that. You give him something to come in. Bing, bing. Keep walking. Bang, bang. Roll, take on off him. Jab more, champ. Jab more.
Emmanuel, you said earlier that you don't see Mosley as a real boxer, that he just fights and flurries and bursts. But he seems to be doing some pretty good boxing here.
He's doing this more of really a controlled style of boxing, which is very good today. Not really a lot of power on his jabs, but he's just moving away, just keeping the left hand out there just enough where he can land the big shots every once in a while. He's a very smart fighter.
Mosley has been active in round 2. He has the edge in power connect, 17-9, the edge over Vargas.
Vargas seems to be really focusing on trying to get a straight right hand lead off on Shane. And Shane is catching him a lot with left hooks, in addition to the little short clubbing right hand that he's hitting Vargas with, right over his eye.
And that eye continues to swell, Emmanuel, of Vargas.
All right, break out, come on. Nice.
That's the right hand lead again. That seems to be the main punch that Fernando was trying to land, and he's really concentrating a lot on that punch.
Well, that was the punch that Vernon Forrest hurt Mosley with.
Good body shot right by Mosley to the body of Vargas.
get him out, get those arms out, get him out. Hey, time. Fernando, keep the punches up, all right? Keep him up. All right, let's go.
Joe Cortez warning Fernando Vargas to keep the punches up as Vargas continuing to press the action. Can Vargas sustain an attack all night long against Shane Mosley?
Vargas is fighting just the way that he's playing in terms of being physically the stronger fighter, pushing the little guy around, and it's just what he's doing right now. And you can really see the weight difference as the fight is starting to progress more.
Vargas still trying to work the body in close. Cortez warning him again about keeping the punches up. Good flurry by Shane.
Bring it, push. Watch your hands inside, guys. Come on. Let him go. Get those hands out. Let's go.
Right by Shane connects.
He's landing good blows on Fernando, but seems like he doesn't have enough power to hurt him at this stage right now. And
which is not unusual at this weight. That's
right, and you really can see, and Fernando seems to feel that. The way he's fighting is as if he can just physically try to walk through Shane. The right hand lead again.
Shane with the flurry, connecting on a couple. Good action to close that round.
Deep breath. Nice and relaxed. Do me a favor. Yes, beat it. When you walking in, Shane, he can't touch you, baby. He's doing, when you're here, if you notice, you're doing the feints, he's right here. Keep doing. Go here, bang. Rotate over here. Touch him. Keep walking like that.
All right, I'm telling you now.
Deep breath, baby. Deep breath. You got to use your jab too, champ. But look, you're starting to lean over it. I don't want you reaching for him at all. Just be patient. Keep walking him down. Control the right side of the ring, all right? You got to move your head, though. You can't be on the center like that, all right? When you get close to him, give me the short jab on the inside. I haven't seen the 1-2 yet, baby. All right. You got to be
just warming up, right, Fernando? Just warming up, baby. Let's go. Take it out.
Okay, guys. Seconds out. Let's go.
Let's check in with Harold Letterman. Harold?
Money to see a fight, and you're seeing a fight. I love this thing. 30-27, 3 rounds to nothing. Ferocious Shane Mosley. I got to tell you, Sugar Shane has landed the cleanest shots, especially that right hand. In round 3, a lot of wrestling. The reason Vargas was warned for the low blow was because he's banging the body. But when he does bang the body, leaves himself open. Sugar Shane gets in that right hand. 3-0, Mosley.
Well, I may have given that last round. I didn't score it. Maybe possible to Fernando. He's getting to be more assertive, more confident. And even though Shane is landing blows, I don't see the real power in his blows. And his facial expression looks like he's still a little tight. He hasn't really relaxed yet in the fight.
I hate to see what he's going to do if he relaxes. Because I have it the same score as Harold.
Are you seeing a discernible difference in terms of power, Vargas being the naturally bigger man?
I think Vargas' power is better, but he's slower, though. His punches is not as fast as they used to be. But I think he still punches with more power than Shane. Shane is faster, though.
Punching with power is good, but you got to land the punches.
And that's the problem at this stage of the fight. Fernando's punching with more power, but he's just not landing the shots as much.
Mosley, for his part, doesn't seem to be overly concerned, and he talked a lot about having worked in sparring sessions with guys at 175 pounds to prepare him for this.
He still better watch out for the right hand of Fernando. Fernando's becoming more physical and more assertive as the fight is going on. And the right hand lead of his is beginning to be more effective in hitting Shane.
Vargas, nice body shot.
Vargas reminding us in some of these close quarters exchanges that he does have some boxing ability. He's never been the kind of reckless physical fight that many people associate with him because of his fiery temperament outside the ring.
Right hand again. He's landing the right hand still with more frequency to Shane. Shane is not really moving his head.
That was Vargas's most effective round.
Larry, you talked about where Vargas is in his game now. Maturation on Vargas's part?
He's always been mature. He was as mature as a kid.
Keep your hands up at all times.
round 5.
All right? And watch the overhand right he's trying to throw. He hasn't. He's starting to take them breaths. You see it? He took one. I want you to use your jab when you get close to him and find a straight right hand, okay? Make sure you weave to the right side.
There's 3 shots and then take off or just walk away. All right? Match your life just like that. You're looking good, baby. You're looking good. Do your thing. Give me this here. When you're getting close, you stand right in front of him. Give him something. Give him something. Don't just stand right here, baby, okay? When you tighten it up, just give him something. That way you can catch him with something. All right?
You got to take over with that jab. Hit him over with that jab.
Jab your cheek. Keep moving that head for me. Walking around like you're doing. Don't be in a rush.
I think this next round or two is crucial for Mosley. Is he going to put real distance between himself and Vargas, or is he going to gradually wear down from the stronger guy in front of him?
As we begin round 5, scheduled for 12.
Two hard shots by Mosley in those exchanges.
Yeah, I saw Vargas landing shots too. Mosley's landing, but I just don't see the power in his punches. It seems like his hands are not even closed to me.
Both fighters certainly should be accorded a fair amount of respect, given that they have fought the best of their era. They have not backed down from anyone.
That's true. And especially when Shane loses a fight to a guy like Vernon Forrest and goes directly back the next fight into it, and then loses to Winky Wright, and then chose to go directly back to Winky Wright again. The 2 guys that he lost to both of them twice. Because he went right back into him rather than try to take a soft fight in between.
Do you yield to the boxer's desire in that case? Because many were saying, why do that? Yeah, especially Vernon Forrest, his nemesis.
Yes, but Shane is a very, very proud man and very concerned about history. He's a really student of the game and a boxing historian, much like Bernard Hopkins. He is very concerned about his spot in history.
Well, his spot in history was primarily as a lightweight, where he knocked out every one of his challengers and then beating De La Hoya for the welterweight title. That's his claim.
And to your point, Larry, Shane hasn't scored a knockout in over 4.5 years. Vargas muscling Mosley.
Yep.
Will that wear Mosley down?
No wrestling, guys.
That's the punch right there. Shane is really like has no defense for that short right head. He better be very lucky that Fernando is not faster than he is. Much like he didn't have a defense for Winky Wright's right jab.
Well, you can't say he's lucky that Fernando isn't as fast as him. I think that Fernando's got other strengths, but that's not it.
Well, if Fernando was punching with more speed than that, I think he would have a real problem.
Well, then he wouldn't be Fernando. He'd be somebody else.
Well, so far, the crowd appreciative of who they are.
What are you doing?
I want you to keep that left hand up and the same hand count. I want you to grip that left hook. When that right hand touch your glove, grip that hook, all right? And then come downstairs with it, all right? But I need you to jab it, but don't reach for him, all right? He's getting a little tired. He's not moving on his feet.
Yeah. Won that round. Beautiful, man.
Right hand by Mosley.
You're here to see Mosley through the right hand, but I don't see where, to me, they're having as much effect as they should have.
Seconds out.
And to your point again, shots landed. Vargas distinctly with the advantage in that last round, and Vargas executing his game plan very well.
I think evidently we chose to show right hands is landed by Shane, so that's all we saw. But I saw just as many right hands landed by Fernando, and I thought they had much more power on them.
Well, speaking of power shots, Vargas landed 17, Mosley 13 in round 5.
So the shots that we chose to show could be misleading.
And I guess one point of those replays as well, too, Emmanuel, it's been the right hand of Shane Mosley that has brought out the swelling over the left eye of Fernando Vargas.
Well, I think he's landing a lot, even though they're not just powerful, but I think he's landing a lot of punches.
Let's go, guys. Let me hold him, Mosley.
Right counter by Vargas with power.
Right, Shane is not moving his head away from right hand punches.
Come on, get those rounds out. All right, break out, clean. Let's go. Break out. Come on, guys. Watch your heads inside, guys.
Left connected by Vargas.
Get his arms out. Get him out. Break out.
Oh, they both missed with rights.
Yeah, good right hand shot.
Break out.
So far, the most effective punch, probably both of them have been right hands. I think Shane is landing more. I don't think they look good, but I don't think there's much more power, but he's landing more.
Emmanuel, you talked earlier as well about the tenseness and nervousness associated with one fighter walking down the other, keeping the pressure on, which is what Vargas is doing. Will that pay dividends later?
Well, I'm just studying the expression of each fighter, and I'll try to go through their minds. Fernando seems to be much more comfortable with the situation. Even though Shane is landing the most, Shane's facial expression is he's very tense, very nervous, and still not as comfortable with the way things are going.
This isn't necessarily a comfort game. You know, it's who lands the punches, who's putting more hurt on the other guy. And I think Mosley has come back with a pretty good round after the last two.
Excitement at the end there, but you saw the flurries of Mosley, but the effective punches came from Vargas.
Well, if Shane can continue to do this is what I expected from Shane. Those type of outbursts, not single punches. I think he can pull a fight out. I don't know what the score is right now, but I probably feel that Shane should be winning it, but it's got to be a little bit more competitive, except for that good flurry this last of the
right. Every time you throw your right hand, I want you to go under. Round 7, champ. Come on, good. Swallow that water and a deep breath. All right, talk to me. How you feel, baby? All right, that's what I want to hear, right there. Look, when you get close to him, I need a jab and a straight right hand, all right?
I think that Vargas' right hands are having much more power and effect than Shane's, even though Shane is landing.
Mosley's speed likely won the first 3 rounds. Vargas' strength got him back in the bout. Harold Letterman, how do you have it so far?
Exactly, JB. 57-57, 3 rounds apiece. I got it all even so far. The first 3 rounds to Sugar Shane Mosley. The next 3 rounds to ferocious Fernando Vargas. Fernando Vargas is starting to back him up. And I tell you, who would have thought that these guys would fight head-to-head, toe-to-toe like this? Because, you know, you figure Mosley would move, turn and move to the side, whatever. He's standing right in front of Vargas. He's letting Vargas murder him in the body. And Sugar Shane's mouth is wide open. 3-3.
I have it 4-2 for Mosley. I gave the last round to him.
What, should Mosley be moving more as opposed to trying to mix it up toe-to-toe with Vargas?
I either just throwing faster combination, but, you know, maybe they're both slipped. This is why it's a competitive fight. They both have dropped down a notch. I think Shane right now still may be actually winning the fight because of his speed that he has. He's still put together more punches, I think.
This is going to come down to the last quarter or third of the fight, last 3 or 4 rounds. Vargas has had some problems with his stamina in the past. Mosley has been able to close the shows. We'll see if history stands up here.
Usually in the close fights, they like this. The fighter who can put together those fast outbursts usually can win those type of decisions. Similar to what Mosley just did at the end of the last round.
It's not like either fighter has really hurt the other guy yet. Not a short, crisp, punching, high-class stuff. A very good fight, but nobody has suffered any damage yet.
Interesting to note how Vargas is executing what he says his trainer Danny Smith has taught him in using the jab more and cutting the ring.
Watch your head, let's go. Come on, let's go, come on, bro. One wrestling inside, guys. Come on, your hands are free. Oh, watch your head, Come on, watch your head, guys.
Right hand move again.
By Vargas.
Yep. And then Shane explodes after that almost every time.
And a left by Vargas. Left again by Vargas. 2-punch combination.
Yeah, Shane is landing, but I just he's punching with his gloves about 70% open. And Vargas is punching, even though I think they're slower, but his fist is closed at the end of his punch. And his body weight is in the punches.
Come on, watch your heads inside. Let's go. Come on, guys, keep your hands up, come on.
I can't help but get the feeling that if Vargas continues to fight this way and Shane allows him, Vargas is better executing this way than Shane.
Yeah, he's making it a physical fight.
Close fight, baby. You hear me?
Here we go.
It's a real close-ass fight. All right? I need you to tell me how you feel.
I feel good. You ain't got nothing on me.
It ain't the point he got something. It's the point of the judges. You understand?
Coming up, guys.
Take your deep breath. I need you to keep doing what you're doing.
You're taking the lead now.
Keep doing what you're doing. Stay close to him. Stay close to him. Keep pushing him around. Keep pushing him around. Keep banging him to the body. But when you get close, hit him with a little short jab, all right?
Okay.
And find that straight right hand behind it.
Round 8.
And make sure when you're throwing your right hand that you weave, because we don't want to get hit with them hooks. Touch your temples on both sides, because we don't want to get hit with that right hand, all right? That's all he's looking for. All right?
Very bad swelling around the left eye of Fernando Vargas.
Testimony to how many of those quick little right hands Mosley has been landing.
Power shots close in round 7. Vargas 20 of 51. Mosley 18 of 38.
No wrestling, guys. Come on. Get him out. Let's go. All right, break. Okay, that's it. Come on, let's go.
Blood coming from the mouth of Fernando Vargas, along with a gruesome-looking left eye.
Neither guy seem to have developed any defense for the other guy's right hand.
Get him out of there.
When an eye is puffed like that, Emmanuel, is it in danger of splitting open or not?
No, it's a lot of time the blood is just some pressure, you know. And some guys, like years back, Joe Frazier used to use the some stuff on his brine, on his skin, and many of the old timers where you never see Joe Frazier get cut. Even in the fight with Ali, where his eyes would swell up, but the skin was just toughened so much they would never cut.
Shane tried to deliver a home run left hook there, man.
A lot of pressure, though, that was building up on that left eye.
Keep him on, let's go, guys. Keep him on, let's go.
And Emmanuel, even though it may appear to be, and you correct me, a little light tapping and slapping by Shane, Shane was talking about how he got caught up previously trying to deliver power by getting flat-footed as opposed to delivering those punches naturally.
Well, right now I look at him as a flurry fighter. I've always looked at him as a flurry. I never saw him really as much of a boxer or inside guy. It's those flash combinations of him.
Two rights. Three rights on that swollen eye.
I don't think that he can even see the right hands coming from where he was getting hit with them already, but now I think it's even worse. He can't even see them coming.
Shane, of course, is eye hunting.
Fernando's history of swelling up very badly with his facial features in fights is really being a big factor in this fight.
That has plagued him throughout.
Plagued him throughout his career. He's always had problems. Whereas I don't think I ever recall Shane too much ever being busted up or swelling up in any of these fights.
And Shane continuing to work that right side and right punch on that left eye of Vargas.
And Vargas doesn't even try to seem to block it.
Vargas keeps fighting, but he took a beating in that round, and that eye looks like it
may be severe enough to even have the fight stopped.
No question about it. Well, if there was any question about what kind of fight this was going to be, it's a war. Both fighters bringing their best tonight as if their respective careers depend on it.
Touch with the right hand, they're going to stop the fight. You understand what I'm telling you? So you got to keep your hands up. You got to be weaving under. You're not weaving under. You're dependent on just blocking it. Get under someone. Make him waste his energy by missing. Okay. All right. When you get close, you got to hit him with a little short jab on the side. Right here.
We're going to the ninth round, my man.
Hey, Fernando, you got to start protecting yourself. You start getting hit with those right hands that you can't see those punches coming. I'm going to have no choice but to stop the fight.
You hear me? All right, baby.
You heard referee Joe Cortez.
Right, warning about that eye. That's getting into Hasim Rahman territory, where it looked like he was growing a second head in his fight with Holyfield.
And I think the one thing, by him, keeping his left eye right up there close to Moses' right hand without even keeping his hand up to protect punching is very, very dangerous. He should right now come out and let everything hang out if he's going to ever do it, because the fight's probably going to be stopped in the next round or so.
Referee Joe Cortez articulating what you said, that Vargas doesn't appear as if he can even see the rights coming.
Right. Vargas should come out and let all of his power go with his own right hand now and go for the knockout one way or the other. He cannot afford to keep fighting the same pattern fight that he's been fighting all along.
Yeah, but the advice he got in the corner, Emmanuel, was to protect the eye.
Wrong advice. He can't do it. This stage, he need to go all out for the knockout. It's the only chance he's got.
That eye is virtually closed of Fernando Vargas. Consecutive lefts to the body of Vargas. And now a right to that eye.
And look at Joe Cortez is right now getting on the verge of stopping the fight.
It is gruesome looking indeed. Cortez looking critically at that eye of Fernando Vargas.
He needs to throw more of his power right hand punches. That's the only thing he's got going for him. And not to the body. He needs to throw him with full power on the chin. That's the only thing that he's been successful with tonight.
Wake up. Let's go.
Well, we may not see either fighter collect the $100,000 in terms of the knockout, but maybe there should have been another bet with respect to the eye being closed.
Well, if the fight is stopped, I don't know if that counts as a knockout or whether they need a TKO. Maybe they'll need lawyers to decide that.
Purposely ambiguous in what they meant. Understood.
I think it was more of a mind bet than a real bet.
Make sure you straight punches. Okay, look at the eye. Nice.
Can you open it at all? Yeah.
There we go. Hey, get you some water, baby. Talk to me. How you feeling? Good. All right. Listen, you gotta keep your hands up good. And watch that right hand, all right? You gotta keep your eyes on that right hand. You gotta jab your way forward, straight right hand, all right? Keep weaving underneath shots. Okay. Don't stand up. Don't be on the center. Okay. All right. Hey, get you another ring, baby.
Hit that knee.
Okay. Let's go to work. Let's go to work. Hold on.
There was a meeting between the ring physician, Mark Ratner, the director of the Boxing Commission, and Joe Cortez along the ropes. Obviously, they're talking about the eye and whether to stop the fight or not, depending on what happens here.
I think the fact that Fernando may have won the last round is what gave him a little reprieve. I think if he had lost the last round big, they would have stopped the fight.
Well, let's see if Harold Letterman agrees with you. Harold?
No, I don't. Okay, I got it. 86, 85, 5 rounds to 4. Sugar Shane Mosley. I just thought that Fernando Vargas couldn't see that right hand coming. I know darn well that the left eye is giving him a lot of pain, as well as, doing a number on his vision. So Shane Mosley, I think, wins round 8 and 9. He goes up by 1 round, 5 rounds to 4.
They're looking across the ring from Mosley's corner. They understand what's going on. What do they tell Mosley? Should Mosley be just going for the right eye?
Let's keep going for the right eye, that's all. Just don't anything. Just keep trying to hit him in the right eye. And in Fernando's case, he should be told to let full power go with every punch that he throws.
And Fernando tried to do just that, Manny, in the last round, delivering 15 power shots to just 9 to Mosley.
That's why I can see why Harold had him losing. I thought that Fernando won the last round, even though his eyes closed up, but I didn't see where Shane did too much.
Shane continuing to work that eye, and Joe Cortez says, that's it. Did not want to see that eye continue to take more punishment.
Well, if Shane Mosley says that's his last fight as a junior middleweight, he made it a fond farewell.
With an exclamation point.
It's not his last fight, that's for sure. Maybe last fight at 154.
As the fighters embrace, and Emmanuel, that's a good point. We had talked at the top of the show about how these fighters had to look if they wanted to sustain their careers beyond here, at least from a fan interest standpoint. Your reaction?
I thought Shane fought a smart fight, considering everything. He knew the guy was physically much stronger than him, and he just did enough to stay out of the harm's way and win the fight. Whichever opportunity presents itself, and it turned out to be the eye injury presented itself as being the best opportunity, and he capitalized on that.
Whatever you see you can capitalize on, go for it.
That's what you have to do. This is all boxing.
Well, for the official decision, let's go inside the ring to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, referee Joe Cortez must step in and call a halt to the contest. The official time, 1 minute, 22 seconds of round number 10. The winner by TKO victory, Sugar Shane Mosley.
So Shane Mosley comes away victorious with a 10th round TKO. Total punches landed in favor of Shane Mosley. Busy indeed, but Vargas not far behind, 147 to 139. In terms of power shots, and again, you were talking about how Vargas did do that even with that swollen left eye. He was very aggressive in trying to deliver such. But the eye, just too much to overcome. But it was indeed Mosley with a 13-shot advantage there, 127 to 114 in terms of power shots. Active on both parts. Let's check in with our colleague, Larry Merchant.
Thank you very much, JB. Congratulations, Shane. You say this is your last fight at 154.
Oh my God.
You made it a good one.
Yeah.
Give us your assessment of what was going on in there tonight before it was stopped.
Well, I mean, Fernando's a warrior. He's a very strong fighter. He's 166 pounds. He was trying to push me around. He even caught me around the ear. My ear started ringing. The whole fight is still ringing right now. I mean, he's a tough warrior. I mean, I told you guys that he was going to come in and fight. It's going to be a war. What he was doing was he was pushing me around a lot, and I was just trying to keep myself from falling down because he was so heavy.
All right, we started to see some slight swelling on his left eye really early in the fight. Did you sense that all those right hands you were landing were going to end up the way it did?
You know what? Before I knew it, his eye was swelled up like a balloon. I was like, wow. I think in the second round, first round maybe, I hit with a right hand, and I see his eye go whoop. It swelled up a little bit, but it was just like a little cherry. And then as the rounds was going on, the eye was getting bigger and bigger. I'm like, wow. So, I mean, it was a spectacular fight. You know, he came to fight, I came to fight. You know, we gave the guy the show.
When the eye began to blow up, and it was a problem for him, what was the advice from the corner, or what were you thinking? Is this the way I have to end the fight, go after the eye?
Well, I mean, I looked over at Bernard and Oscar, and it was like, his eye. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get it, and he was trying to hide it pretty good because it was ducking real low, and I was trying to throw straight right hands first, and then I started looping them and making them round across the eye, and, it just started swelling up.
What does this victory mean for you? You've had a lot of hard fights against big guys. Vernon Forrest, a much bigger welterweight than you. Winky Wright. Of course, you did fight De La Hoya at 54, but what does it mean personally to you and what you think of your career?
Well, I think that with this fight, it shows that I'm a strong welterweight. Very strong welterweight. And, I can hang in there with if the right 54-pounders there, I can hang in with the 54-pounders. So, I think welterweight will be my division, but it was just a great fight tonight. I got a chance to get in there and war with the.
Give us your short list of preferred opponents.
Well, right now, I mean, the only guy that's at top is Floyd Mayweather, but I think I'm gonna take a little time off, with the family and stuff, and then we're gonna go back to the drawing board with Oscar, Bernard, and Barrera, and the Golden Boy team, and talk about the next fight.
So Mayweather would be the number one guy that you would want to fight.
Mayweather is the number one guy out there. He's a pound-for-pound guy, and he's the only guy out there to beat at welterweight. So that would be the guy. But until then, I'm just going to relax and take this all in and enjoy this victory.
Thank you very much, Shane. Congratulations again for a great fight. JB?
Okay, Larry, well, it is not a Shane Mosley in his prime, but your post-fight assessment.
I thought he fought a smart fight. He did what he had to do to win the fight, and that was the opposite goal. Particularly once he found that he had an advantage with the swollen eye, he took advantage of that, because other than that, it wasn't too much difference. As the scorecard indicated, until the eye became a major factor, the fight was going back and forth. And it was really who would throw the most right hands is really what was happening, because neither guy developed a defense for the other guy's right hand. And I thought that Fernando fought a good fight, but I thought he could have fought a little better if he could have threw more right hands. And once he kept getting hit in the left eye, and his style of just bending forward, where the left eye was right close to the guy's right hand, was a big mistake, where if he'd have been a little further back, I think he'd have been a little better off. But nevertheless, it was a good fight. He comes out with glory. You know, he said he lost the fight based on his eye being swollen, so it wasn't like he got knocked out. So he still has a lot of dignity.
Well, let's coattail on your point as far as the scorecards are concerned. It was indeed close. As a matter of fact, take a look at this. At that point, a very close fight indeed. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better fight. And on 2 scorecards, again, he was winning by 1.
That was my score compared to Harold Letterman's score, which is like he was in the fight. But I saw the fight a lot different. I saw Shane throwing a lot of punches, but they were not really power punches. And I saw the punches that was thrown by Fernando having a lot more effect because of Shane's head snapping back. So I figured the fight was going to be very close.
Okay, let's get back upstairs ringside with Larry Merchant now with Fernando Vargas.
Thank you very much, JB. Fernando, when did you have trouble with your eye at first? Where did it start to impair your vision?
I think nothing away from him. I think it was in the first or second or third round. I think it was a headbutt. Taking nothing away from him, but I was fine. I could have kept on fighting.
You felt that your vision, you could still see him and protect yourself?
I could still see him protect myself. I was on him. I was putting pressure on him. I was constantly on him, and he was, pulling back. He was the one on the ropes, so I had to put pressure on him, and I had him going.
They were talking to you in the corner, the medical people, the referee. They were saying they were very concerned about the eye for this 2 or 3 rounds before this. Did you realize that it was so bad that they could have stopped it?
No, not that bad. I mean, I could still see, and I had him going. I had the pressure on him. He was retreating. I had him on the ropes.
If you had realized that they might stop it, would you have stepped it up and tried to finish it?
I would have stepped it up immensely. But, I said I could see, I just keep on putting the pressure on him. I'm already ahead of the scorecards. I just continue to do what I'm doing.
When he stopped it, what was your first thought?
I was like, what the hell are they doing? Why are they stopping the fight? I was ready to keep on going. I was surprised. I thought they were, just breaking us up because I thought that, we're clinching, and he thought that we needed to be broken up.
What does this defeat mean for you in your career?
Right now, you know what? I'm going to just sit back and see what my family thinks and, what my fans think, and then we'll see where we'll go from here.
Is this possibly, you've got a potential career in movies, a movie coming out, real estate. You're 28 years old, but you've lived fast and had a lot of big fights. Is this conceivably the last we'll see of Fernando Vargas in the ring?
I don't think so. But, I had to talk to my family and see what they say. I had the momentum. I was on him. I was putting pressure on him. I'm the one that was pushing the fight, and I think I was ahead of the scorecards.
Thank you very much, Fernando, for a very good fight. JB?
All right, Larry, and I certainly commend the warrior spirit exhibited by Fernando Vargas, but Emmanuel, I would assume that you have no issue with referee Joe Cortez stopping that fight, even though Vargas wanted to continue.
That's correct, James. In fact, I was kind of a little disappointed maybe to some degree. His own cornerman didn't create the urgency that I felt and everyone else felt. Let him know the fight is on the verge of being stopped. You're going to have to do something dramatic. You cannot continue to just plod in and fight the normal style of fighting that you're fighting. Let's go all out for this knockout because you're going to get stopped one way or the other if you don't do something. But they never seem to explain that to him. And the warrior in him meant that, hey, everything is okay. I'm not that hurt. But nevertheless, it was still a good fight. I don't know what his future could hold right now. He fought a big fight here. To go back to fight with a lesser type of fighter, he would probably be just put into the role of an opponent. He can't fight anything better than this, a named fighter who was on the same level that he is. After that, he's going to be fighting young upstart fighters. So that could
at least from this perspective here, certainly an excellent effort. And again, at the time that the fight was stopped, Mosley was ahead on 2 of the judges' scorecards. Again, Vargas down in that fight at that point. And Larry, let me go back to the top of the show, the points that we were making. I ask you specifically, would we see enough out of these guys to see a terrific fight, or would they be shot fighters? Your post-fight analysis.
I thought, given the clash of styles that they had, who Mosley is, who Vargas is, it was an excellent fight. You don't often see a fight between 2 quality fighters standing virtually in each other's face for an entire fight. That was a very high-level fight. Whether either one of them can fight fighters on a higher level, that remains to be seen. It's still conceivable that Winky Wright may be out there a year from now. Vargas has a victory over Wright. Wright says, let's have a rematch. It could happen. But definitely, I think that that Mosley has to go back down to welterweight and fight whoever is in that division. He should not be lured out of that division anymore. Just one other thing to give you an idea of how things have changed. As a boy reporter, I was ringside for the rematch between Sugar Ray Robinson and Carmen Basilio. Famously, Basilio's eye blew up just as badly as the eye you just saw. He fought for 15 rounds with that eye. Robinson won the fight. It was a long, tough fight. In my view, the fight could have gone on, but we have a different ethic in boxing today. I approve of that ethic. Who knows if something might have busted open there. But I think it was a graphic example of how times have changed in boxing.
Very fair assessment indeed. Now, you two next week, along with Jim Lampley, will be in Puerto Rico. Miguel Cotto will be taking on Gianluca Branco. So let me get your thoughts about what to expect in that match.
Well, it's very difficult to say what's going to happen in a fight right now with Miguel Cotto. He's becoming more of a skillful type of interrogati recently. Two of his fights, which were supposed to be the easy fights, one in particular with Chop Chop Corley, who was not even a puncher, had him seriously hurt, almost knocked him out, and then a recent fight with a guy named Torres, who came in as a last-minute substitute, and he was seriously hurt in that fight. So you can't really say. I think the fact that he's been fighting good quality opposition for a young fighter, I have to give him credit for that, even though he's had some tough moments. But I feel he'll win, but I'm not that super the way I used to be saying there's no way that he could lose. He could possibly lose a fight.
Good quality opposition for a talented youngster. Good progress on the part of Cotto. Your assessment?
I think he's been schooled very well, both in terms of what he's learned in the gyms of Puerto Rico, where they school fighters very well, but also in how he's been brought along and facing all kinds of opposition. Now he's going to face a very good boxer. We haven't seen him that. I think he's much too strong. I think that he's on a glide path now toward a major fight that will define whether he is going to be the star everybody has thought he would be later in the year.
That will be next week from Puerto Rico when Jim Lampley has rested up from his Olympic tour. And it'll be Gianluca, that is, Branco taking on Miguel Cotto. Vargas versus Mosley has been brought to you by Mandalay Bay Boxing at its best. Rockstar Energy Drink, party like a rock star. And by HBO Pay-Per-View, the best in pay-per-view entertainment, brought to you by HBO. And we'd like to thank the following magazine and internet partners. And so for our entire crew, this is James Brown saying so long from Las Vegas, Nevada.